Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're super happy to have Alex back again with what now is DAFshare, which I think is not only easier for me to say, but I think a more representative name of the company. And we had some great input and activity and engagement from our Luminary series, and we're happy to have a more formal and in-depth look at DAFshare today. Uh, Lots of progress, and for those of you that are new, Steve, I see you there. If you want to meet, you can change yourself, I think, to a presenter if you want. Um, and so with uh, happy to fill you in on everything. We're going to get into the weeds about the not only the progress, but the opportunity and the investment opportunity with Alex and Steve. So, Alex, thanks for doing this again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's give a little context, start at the beginning a little bit, Reader's Digest version of your background, and then get right into it.
Yeah, well, my background has really been in tech, sort of the typical. Started the my first company in a college apartment, and early in my career, I got exposed to a company that did very sophisticated content around planned gifts. And so it's something that stuck with me as, I went through my career in my various stages of life. I have been on the donor side. I have started nonprofits. Every time I volunteer, I get thrown into fundraising. So I kind of understand the challenges of working with a nonprofit, and even, in that time, seeing how donor advised funds have kind of taken off. And I think we're in a trend to where there are fewer donors that are giving more. And we're kind of losing the next generation in a lot of cases because they just don't do things the same way we
Turns
do. And
out they do
especially,
things a lot differently, right?
yeah. And so really at the core of this, we've built a platform that makes giving more connected, more social, and frankly, more shareable. So
There's a lot of talk, and I don't know how much of this is noise over signal, but there's a lot of talk about how financial advisors better look out because if they're managing the patriarch or matriarch's money and they're, you know, in their late 70s or so, and they've had a long-term relationship with their financial advisor, bank, whatever, whoever's running their money,
mhm.
that the next generation that'll assume that money is going to, without question, just bounce out the incumbent for no other reason that they probably don't talk the same language.
Yeah, and don't have the relationship. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
and the numbers are staggering. I mean, I think it's a, don't, I won't give you the exact number, but roughly $150 trillion is going to transfer between generations in the next 20 years, call it. And even there, just to avoid some of the tax implications and inheritance and all those things, it's close to 20 trillion that is going to be given away to charity. And actually, I think someone we both know, Nicholas Charles, wrote a book
Oh yeah.
about
Yeah.
generational wealth.
Yeah.
He's a friend of ours too. And even his prescription for that is get your kids involved in the philanthropy, because it's a lot easier to then progress into, we have these assets here and these properties there and things like that. And and he's even got a digital platform to just how keep that stuff straight. But the key is having that relationship and having your kids start to understand why you do the things you do. And it's a lot easier to start at that layer. So I mean, that's what we're well positioned for.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Can you take in kind at this point? For example, there's a lot of art collectors that collect stuff that they like, but no museums don't want. So
Yep.
that's kind of a wasted asset. And the kids probably don't want it either in some cases. But
Yep.
if there's art, art is often used because of the basis, right? Low
Yep.
basis stuff.
Yep.
Uh, can you custody that, so to speak?
Well, so what we've built is a framework.
Yeah.
So right now we're somewhat limited on, public stock, crypto, normal, we're not taking real estate yet, but the whole framework is really built so we can take, in fact, we had a conversation about it this morning, being able to just say, hey, even if you've got land, there are a lot of we're working with the university who's trying to take a donation of land, and honestly, there's nobody in the fundraising group that knows anything what to do.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of the hidden side of what we're doing, but to create a scalable platform where if you're a charity, you don't have to have an expert on charitable remainder trusts and real estate and art and 6,000 other types of assets. I mean, with a scalable system, it doesn't matter. And it's what's happened with DAFs too. Like if you've ever tried to get something done in December with a charity that takes a lot of work, it's like
Yeah.
they don't have the capacity, and sometimes it's a challenge to get it done by the date you need it.
Yeah.
They just say throw it in a DAF and give it to us that way. That's why DAFs I think have exploded the way they have is
Totally.
it's just easier.
Yeah.
So not yet to the art thing, but that's definitely on our roadmap.
Yeah. So tell the group a little bit more about what exactly it is, and then let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Well, at its core, it's just a platform. I mean, you think of it as Amazon has products, we have charities, and every charity has its own donor community. So a charity might not even know that they have a community of donors there because it's led by the donors themselves. I mean, that's who our focus is with, and it's really trying to enable them. A good story to sort of illustrate that. If you remember, a couple months ago in Minnesota, there was that school shooting at the Catholic school,
Yeah.
Annunciation Catholic School, and we happened to have a donor that was not too far from that area, set up a matching grant, shot it out to his friends. And then when you see the activity happening in the feed live on the platform, there were a bunch of people that, oh, yeah. I mean, they heard about the school shooting, but don't even know where to give it. And, out of sight, out of mind. But when they're seeing those things happen, then it brings activity and it's kind of charities go viral in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of things to try to make that easier. I mean, the name DAFshare and why we're embracing that and have changed to that really is just making money portable. So if you've got 5 kids and you want to get them involved in charity, you can set them up with a DAF out of your DAF money. If you're a company and you want to have an employee giving program and not have them fill out paperwork with HR for the next month,
Yeah.
then you literally fund your employees' DAFs and you can even automate a matching grant to whomever they give to. So there's all these pieces that are just, in other industries and other markets, they already exist. There's Uber, there's Google, Facebook, different platforms that have created this ease and functionality. And in the nonprofit world, you've still got a website where you have to find each and every charity's website to give to them. You've got
And
DAFs that make it easier, but most DAFs are about as sophisticated as online bill pay.
yeah. So it
It's
seems to
not.
me like, for example, you used the example about corporate matching gifts. It's just that I don't want to, disruption is overused. I want to call it, streamlined efficiency, right?
Mhm.
But I want to ask you a question about your example where somebody made a matching contribution for the Catholic Church. What is it that would cause somebody to see that on your platform? Are you sending them notices, push notifications, emails? How's that all happen?
Well, we're sensitive to a lot of that because it really is, based on user activity. But the platform itself, and I can even show that a little bit, but the platform itself, you see what other people are doing. That's pretty much unheard of. You might read about it in an annual report long after it's over in the traditional charity fundraising world, But here, when that person makes a gift, everybody that's in there for whatever reasons they're in there, even if it's a different charity, and they go, God, yeah, that was tragic. I would want to support that. So the the and once you join those communities, then you are getting notifications and you are getting things like that. But it's based on your activity because we see ourselves not as we're not the referee, we're the arena.
Yeah.
So we don't want to show favoritism to one group or over another, not to mention in the sort of overly politicized world we live in, you can't make anybody happy. So,
Yeah. For
or you
sure.
can't make everybody happy, I should say.
Yeah. So don't try.
Yeah, well, and again, and make it based on merit.
Yeah.
You know, the people that promote it, the people that get activity. I mean, literally just had one the other day where a guy that was I think the only person that had given to this charity, um, was playing football, which is another aspect of our platform I'll get into, but was playing this football pick'em game we created for that charity. And then three more people played for that charity too that had never given a gift to anybody. They just happened to see that's who he was playing for. And they went, oh, that's a good one. So, I mean, it
Well,
really does.
happen to see. What's that mean? Why would they have seen that?
If I could, maybe it's easier if I show it
Yeah.
because I think,
Because we all have attention problems, right?
yes,
We got,
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I turned off notifications on my phone and it
Yep.
changed my life. Like I don't even, look at the push notifications anymore, right?
Well, and honestly, I think that's why we have taken the sort of respectful approach to that. I mean, we recognize that, not everybody's sitting around 24 hours a day thinking about their next charitable gift. In
Yeah.
fact, nobody is. So if you're in here because, hey, I do have a gift to make and I'm seeing things, so you can kind of really everything revolves around the feed. We've got other things that are kind of interesting around, gamifying it through leaderboards and different, again, whether you share it or we're doing this for the NFL
Anonymous. Yeah.
season, this pick'em game, but I can see what people are doing. So I might not care about these, but the more activity they have, the more it comes up to the top.
Yeah.
And then this is an aspect that we've built into it as well, where we've built a game engine. This just happens to be football season, so that's why this is the game, and we have quite a bit of people, quite a few people playing it. But the idea still goes back to the idea of sharing a DAF. In this case, we all put money into the pot, and if somebody wins outright, it goes to their charity.
Their charity, right?
If two people tie for the win, then it rolls over. Everybody gets to play for
Yeah.
two times the pot, three times the pot, etc.
Yeah.
So, so you can see, also the privacy aspect of it. Like, and this is a good example. A lot of people want to give anonymously, and so in a lot of cases, that's never seen. That's never even known of. So even though I don't know who gave this, I'm thinking about St. Jude's.
You could
Uh,
give. You could,
exactly. And
yeah.
if I wanted to do that, it's as easy as boom, fill out the gift, and I'll make it a small one. And I get to choose. So do I want it anonymous? Do I want a private? Do I want
Yeah.
my full name on it? And then even the ability to communicate with the charity through your gift. If
Wow.
you want to be added to
That's
their
pretty awesome.
mailing list, or if you don't. I don't
Right.
want to your point, you shut off notifications. You also probably don't go through all the junk mail. I don't need you to send me a newsletter.
Yeah.
So, and then you see once that happens, here's the St. Jude community with various
There's your
donations.
25 bucks. Yeah.
And there's my 25 bucks. And then if I go back to my feed, I see that and all the other stuff. Like here's an example of a dog rescue that has this Saturday has an upcoming event. So everybody that's given to that organization sees that in their feed is a part of that community. And even that's a good one too, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to make a gift to them as well. And in doing so, I think, and I'll do this one anonymously. So I'll do 50 bucks. I'll do it anonymously. And what you'll see, we also do matching grants different than most people, right? So here's the gift I just made anonymously.
Yeah.
And you can see it triggered a match. So as long as you basically have that uh, balance in your DAF and you say, I want to do a matching grant of $100,000, it'll match anything, any gift that's made from 0 to
Wow.
100,000. And when the 100,000 is up, the budget stops. Then the
Wow.
match is over.
So you mentioned corporate matching. I mean, it seems to me that that sales cycle should be pretty easy.
Yes, and I would say it's picking up speed because it's not just corporate from a business standpoint. If you have a family office or foundation, why wouldn't you give that to some of the people? Usually there is sort of a discretionary program or a matching program. Like we're working with one foundation right now that does a 5x match for anything their employees give.
Wild.
And so they can just literally automate that, set up the match, and now they have their own, again, page within that foundation where their feed is just who their employees are giving to and seeing the match come in real time.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different experience than, okay, I made a gift to a charity. I go over to HR, I fill some form out, and then I
Wait 6 weeks. Yeah.
eventually they send a check to the charity and I may or may not ever know about it.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different experience. And back to sort of where we started, it is much more built for people who are used to being digital, for people who want a little bit of dopamine because they actually see things happening, not just write a check and send it into the accounting department.
So there's a few things that you could probably use. Let's start with one of them. How do the charities become aware and what will cause them to be involved? Is the DAF grantor the one that says, "Hey, we're going to get on the platform and put our DAF money in here and start distributing it?" Or are you putting charities on with the hope that they're going to get some of the money that has sits in somebody's DAF?
Right now, charities can choose to participate. So every time we get a first donation to a new charity, we contact them. We
Explain to them what
basically
you're doing. Yeah.
get
Yeah.
them to. And the other side of it too is there's a whole financial mechanism behind this. If they're not on the platform, then we are having to send them checks.
Oh,
So getting them on the platform means they get their money sooner and we can pay them electronically and they're tied to their donors. I mean, even just simple things from, sort of the social network or social media type of communication. If I were Warrior Dog Rescue, and obviously I'm not, but I just saw this gift come in through Carl Evans, I can literally say, thanks, Carl, you're the best. And then so and I think it's something too that there really isn't. You can see some DAFs that will maybe do a showcase or a highlight of different charities, but the charities don't get to interact
yeah.
largely because a lot of
Too
DAF holders
small.
don't want direct
Too
interaction.
small or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and with this, it's built in.
Yeah.
That the communication, the relationship. I'm a big face-to-face, person to person type of guy. And I think especially with your biggest donors, that's what's required. But you're also, most charities have, we were working with one charity. They have three development people and 120,000 donors. So no doubt they harass the hell out of their top 50 donors and hope they can get more money from them and forget about everybody else.
Yeah.
But if you saw this happening, especially if you have like influential people, like one of the universities we're dealing with, they have a number of NFL players and NHL players and stuff like that. So you see them giving, it helps their foundation because you found them through the university. And it's just, I mean, it's as basic as the internet is when it used to be no graphics and just hyperlinks.
Yeah.
You go down that thread of, hey, this is interesting, and now you're connected to your favorite wide receiver.
Yeah.
You know,
And the security stuff is all built in. I mean, just from a very basic, I can make a donation and no be totally anonymous, and that's the end of that, right?
yep, yep, and I think even without the layer that we've added to it, that is why people are putting their money in DAFs.
Yeah.
It's intentional. I know I'm going to give this money away. You basically get your that year plus five. So even if you're going to do contributions in a certain way, you can take that over those 5 years. And now you've got the funds and you can continue to give it away. And you've even seen DAFs get more popular from some of the tax law changes that have happened, where when that standard deduction increased, people now would go, if I was a good financial advisor, it's, hey, you give so much to your church or your favorite charity or whatever, why don't we front end load that? We don't take the standard deduction this year, and then in future years, we can take the standard deduction and you're still giving it away the same you would have anyways.
Yeah.
You know,
Is do you have to have DAF money to
no,
give a contribution to Warrior Dog Rescue, for example?
you don't. If I weren't logged in here, which I'm not going to bore you with and show,
Yeah.
but if I'm not logged in, I can still get to their site. I can still see it. I can still hit that
Nice.
give button.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
and this too is again trying to get the smaller givers to be a part of this, so they can give with a debit card, they can give with a credit card, they can give with their bank account,
Yeah.
and technically behind the scenes, what it does is it also creates a DAF for them. So if a brand new person said, I want to give $50 to Warrior Dog Rescue, and in doing so, I use my debit card, well, we're paying that out to Warrior Dog Rescue right away, but that person now has a $0 DAF. And so if it's a, third year med student who just is supporting cancer research or something, someday they're going to need a tax write-off because they're going to have more money than time,
Well,
and we're going to
isn't
be
it
with them
also
that whole time.
true that because it's a DAF, you can write off the whole $50 if you need it without doing the,
You can
yeah,
you can write off the charitable deduction, but
yeah.
typically, if you're given $50 and you're a
Your your
student, you're taking the
your
standard
Schedule
deduction
C
anyway.
doesn't really uh, reflect
But the
the,
point is the education. I mean,
yeah,
as much as you and I know DAFs reasonably well, or really well, most people don't. If you walk through a college campus and say anybody want a DAF, they're gonna look
yeah.
they're
What the
gonna think
hell's
it's a
that? Yeah,
cup of coffee or something.
yeah.
And
What?
that's our opportunity from sort of a long tail perspective, is to educate them, because they will be the big earners of some point and they will need a DAF. And now they go, hey, I've been using this for years. I already know how to use it. I already know how to get it in. And now maybe I have some art I want to donate.
Yeah. What's this Neo thing over here?
My obsession with
The
the
Matrix?
Matrix. So my persona, if I don't go public, is basically
Neo.
Neo from the
I
Matrix,
love
which
it.
just shows what a geek I am.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
think it has great relevance, more than people I think realize. Yeah,
this
because we could be in a
could all be a
simulation.
simulation.
Yeah,
Yep.
possibly. Yeah. So, in the terms of traction and scale and that sort of thing, are there 200 charities on board and 50 DAFs? And you don't have to tell me exact number, but uh, you know, how hard is it to get what you need? Aside, we're going to talk about the money being raised, but
Yeah. Well, we've taken a very deliberate approach to this beginning, just because it is very complex from a financial standpoint and even a technical standpoint. So we did not start out and just say, hey, we're going to blitz everybody and get on this. We kind of let the users lead, made sure the experience was good, made sure we were delivering on the promise of, when people are active, they're getting more attention and then they're getting more donations. So we started, very deliberately, measured. And I'd say that's a good question on the charities. I would say we're probably in the low thousands of charities, and probably a little bit more than that in the donors standpoint. But the charities can also be a mix. There are a bunch of charities that get a bunch of money from us that don't even participate. And if they did, they'd get more. And so
uh,
that's That's part of where we're at right now. What
Education, yeah.
you brought up perfect reasons why we are, raising capital. It's to increase the problem with, say, art is that it's not like a public stock where we can put a value to it, we can liquidate it, and we can
Yeah, it's
put that
problematic.
photograph to
Yeah.
give away.
Yeah.
It's a more human intense process. And so we need to build that side of it up. And more importantly, and again, aside from the capital that we're in the process of raising, we're really reaching out to family offices, family foundations, even financial advisors and people that are influential in the space, because it's the donors that are going to drive this of all those types. And so that's my number one goal, is to get exposure to them, because it's not that hard of an ask. If you're already giving to charity and you'd like to have more impact to the charities you're giving to, if you do it through this platform, there's going to be exposure.
Yeah.
You're going to be building a community for them that is sustainable long term. It's not just, hey, next year and you're one of our biggest donors, can you up it again?
Yeah, right.
This is, you're giving them a community of donors that's going to survive long after us.
Is it easy to implement, for example, to put uh, a matching contribution mechanism? In other words, if I gave $50 to the Warrior Dog Rescue, let's just say it's 5,000.
Yeah.
If I did that, is it really easy for me to say, and I'll match up to this amount of money for twice anybody else's match, anybody
Yes.
else's contribution?
But I mean, it's literally built into it. So when I hit give, right, this is for a one-time gift, but match is right here.
Oh, there it is.
And again, as long as I have it in my balance, which mine is getting pretty low.
Yeah.
But yeah, if to your point, here's the $5,000 match. If I want to be anonymous, private, or public, and then I create the match, And now if someone comes, and when they do that, in fact, I'll do a very small one because I'm budgeting here.
You don't have to do that. That's all right. Well,
But
do whatever you want, but yeah.
if I do the match,
Yeah.
it also raises attention. Hey, look,
Look,
Warrior
new
Dog Rescue
match.
has
I
a
love
matching
it.
grant. So I wish that were 5,000. That would be a lot more uh, uh, attention grabbing. But so now anybody that sees that's gonna be able to decide, hey, if I'm already supporting them,
It's
great.
a 3x match. So if I
Yes,
give
because
five, it goes to, you put 15 in?
so yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Yep.
if you look here, right, with the 3x, when
Yep.
I did this to them before, I knew there was a match. Actually, so one just came in.
Look at
So
that.
here's the original donation.
Yeah.
Here was that triggering one
Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
And then here was the matching gift as well.
Nice.
And it happens real time.
Wow.
So and again, a lot of this is just, I was talking to one of the financial advisors we work with, and he was talking about all the complex gift vehicles that are out there. And they really don't have to be that complex. Being able to, have a system that here's the standard way of doing it. You've seen it in so many different ways in different industries, where just simplifying it and making it so you don't have to sit down and with lawyers and read legal documents for 6 weeks is what really kind of frees things up. And frankly, charities need it. I've never met a charity that isn't couldn't use more fundraisers and couldn't do, I mean, it's just
Totally.
that's how they're built. And it's, if their community was self-supportive, they would be even more focused on the mission. But right now, you're only as good as your latest fundraiser. And God forbid they leave, because 40% of your donors probably will leave with them.
With them. Which, back to the complexity thing, it is part of our ethos in the US to be charitable, but it's also okay, the tax law is complex and it's kind of like writing code. If
Yep.
I do one thing, is it going to screw up something else?
Yep.
And so that's part of, aside from lawyers and accountants wanting to get paid, and I'm not saying there's any nefarious intent there. I'm just saying, you know, of modest means, you may not even know what a DAF is, and you just write your check to somebody and be done with it.
Yeah.
But of modest means, anybody could have a DAF and benefit from it.
Yeah. Well, and even just giving things other than cash. You think of how much tax did I have to pay on the money I earned to, especially if it's a substantial gift. That's considerable amount. It'd be to be able to let someone give some stock, or what we've seen, I think the most lately is on the crypto side.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that got into Bitcoin, and when it hit 100K, said, I'm going to lock in some gains, but oh shoot, I'm going to have some capital gains. Don't sell it and donate, do that. So and people on this call, they understand the sophisticated approach to these things. So I don't think that's anything new, but being able to create a system that supports it and a framework that makes that just simple so it becomes about the gift and not the legal gymnastics to make sure you made the right one.
So
That.
how hard was it, and do you produce documents because I made a contribution, I didn't have a DAF, now I do.
Yep.
Do you spin out documents that I can give to my accountant that says, okay, I did this, but I did it this way, not that way?
Well, and legally we're required, because any DAF is actually the charity. When you're then giving to another charity, you've already given that money to a charity. You're
Do a
just
charity,
directing
yeah.
the DAF to give it
Yeah.
to them. So every time you make a contribution, you get a receipt from us. And at the end of every year, you get a report on all your giving that you can hand to your accountant and say, here's what I did.
You just lost 15 bucks.
I know. Actually, probably more than that. I've seen a couple come in.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's actually, so Warrior Dog Rescue actually even said
Wow.
thank you. So,
They're active, those.
yep. And
Wow.
I would say one of the biggest struggles we have, and I think it's a challenge long term with the business, is getting charities to embrace something new. But the more we see the charities that are active, that are making this the platform where they're communicating with their donors, the more that drives more of their donors, that more that brings in new donors. And it'll become, and again, this is why what we need right now is fuel, and fuel is donations. So the more donations that come in, the more the charities are going to have success. And then it's going to be, wait, why aren't we on this? Why aren't we active on this? Why haven't we thanked our donors? Because right now we are so focused on the donors that, unless the charity sees an opportunity and has a person to handle it, a lot of them are not. So
Right.
it's gonna hit a tipping point where it goes the other way.
So am I getting this right? If I'm of modest means, but I'm going to make a donation to a charity anyway, and I don't have the wherewithal to ask my accountant or engage a lawyer for $5,000 just to draft my DAF,
Yeah,
then it seems to me like a really interesting story to say, hey, you don't have to do that.
yeah,
Here's the risks. Here's the benefits. Uh, they're pretty obvious. They're
yeah,
not complex.
no,
So just, throw $1,000 into your DAF, and then you can decide what to do with it later.
yeah, yeah, and I obviously there's an agreement and there's a contract
Right,
between
right,
us
yeah, right.
and the donor that happens when you sign up. But the truth is, like a lot of people that are just playing football right now for low dollars, they're not even concerned with the DAF. They just
R-
like the idea of playing football for charity, and
Yeah,
they want their favorite charity to show up. So, I mean, it's become, it's kind of like if you wanted to take a credit card, if I were going to pay you with a credit card and you weren't a business, good luck on that. But just Venmo me or Apple Pay me or
right.
however
Zelle
you
or
want.
whatever, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's those that money has gotten a lot more shareable or digital,
Yeah.
and just it just hasn't caught up in the financial or the charitable world.
Uh, yeah, I think it's a great story.
Mhm.
What's the name of the platform that GoFundMe?
Yeah.
Like, do you see that this could be used in the context of how GoFundMe?
Well, GoFundMe is interesting right now. And for a long time, I mean, the whole GoFundMe thing started as crowdfunding, and that right, and it started when the Jobs Act was announced, which promised to create rules around, but I think it took them 10 years to actually define those rules. So even like I mean, another one obviously is like Kickstarter, where you put in your $1,000 for the flying car, and if they ever make one, they'll deliver it to you.
Yeah.
So there was a perks based thing. You had no equity net. Now that's all changed, but GoFundMe started in that era. And so even when you put that, hey, my wife has cancer, I need help with the medical bills, it wasn't deductible. Now they have made moves. They bought CrowdRise, which gave them a nonprofit component of it. And fairly recently, they've actually said you now can have a DAF on that, but then they police it because some of those that aren't going to charities, they're going to the guy whose wife has cancer. Those are not
They're
eligible for
they're
that.
not
So
eligible. Yeah.
so I see them as competition, and you've got to because they have a huge number of active people and they have a household name, but they also have a history of purchasing people to solve solutions. And so I'm interested in that as well.
Yeah. I always thought that uh, the biggest risk was with them is that I set up a GoFundMe to offset some medical bill for whatever, and that now the people who donated are part of their ecosystem and they're solicited for other stuff. Now, I'm not sure that that's true, so I don't want to get in trouble with them, but I always thought that that was a potential of being true.
Yeah, I think any platform, and I think they actually do it well. I mean, I'm going to give them credit where credit's due. They don't do a lot of cross solicitation. They will sort of show popular, they will show things like that. They will send some emails out. But I think the biggest risk they have, and I mean, it's well documented over the years, is just the amount of fraud. You know, I
With people setting up charities and
you're not even married, but you're raising money to cure your wife's cancer, and now you're off on vacation. That's
yeah,
that's relatively common and difficult to police. So, kind of their origins being that, how to raise money for a good cause that doesn't have some accountability and legitimacy around at least being an entity and having to, you know, file the appropriate forms. That's one of their biggest risks. And now it's again, it's a huge human intense problem to try to figure out what's fraud and what's not.
yeah, policing that's got to be a bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk about the how you structure the raise, how much money you're
Yep.
raising, what you're going to do with it.
Yep. So I'm going to skip ahead
Yeah.
just to that slide, and we'll make these available to everybody for all of it. So we're raising 5.3 million. We're doing it in the form of a convertible debenture. For anybody that's not familiar with that, it's a debt vehicle, and essentially we have a 10-year term where the investor can convert that at any time they want. So it's up to them. If it gets to 10 years and they just want their investment back, then that's the loan that's due. And we're paying out basically a 20% revenue share payment quarterly to, again, pro rata across all the investors and qualified persons. So it's a 10-year royalty. It automatically converts if there's an acquisition or an IPO or any of those things. But it's a good vehicle because
Mhm.
it gives the investor control over when they want to be debt versus when they want to be equity.
And it gives them a cash on cash type of returns, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we get that question too, why don't you put more money in, keep the money in the company, keep growing, things like that. But there's a reason why this is still an opportunity in 2025. And this is a long tail type of industry. And especially with the numbers we shared earlier about literally the trillions of dollars that are transferring 20 years from now, we have a 20+ year vision for this. This is something that it's not sexy, it's not overnight success. It's going to be just more and more people seeing the value of being able to be more transparent about their giving and using that transparency to inspire more gifts. I mean, there's no better incentive to give than seeing someone else be generous. I mean, we do it all the time. Hey, I'm raising money for this charity. I gave a gift. Come on, Arthur,
Yeah, yeah,
you're good for this, right?
yeah.
You may not care about the charity, but you're going to hit me up next time you want to do the reverse.
So that is the traditional model for the nonprofits in
Yeah.
hiring their board members. It's a give and get, right?
Yeah. Who do you
You
know?
give and then you get as much as you give or five times that,
Yep,
whatever the construct is, right?
it is. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, and then as far as use of funds, I mean, most of it right now, the platform, at least the underlying infrastructure is pretty mature. Now, there's going to be adding new things on. A lot of that we've talked about in this webinar, but most of it is going to new customer acquisition, primarily on donors, but also supporting charities so they can get the most out of it. And then games have been something that, I mean, they're very unique for us, but we want to be able to sort of build a marketplace of game developers. There's a lot of games out there that are decent games but never been monetized. We see our game engine as basically the app store. So it can provide, revenue for those people out of the fees that we charge, but it's also something that is essentially going to charity. So it gives us the opportunity to, buy, get new game developers on board, start to understand how to build into our framework for payments and donations and prizes and awards. And then, the rest of it is just beefing up a little bit on the legal, because this is a legal business, and especially as we get into um, some of those more sophisticated gifts, we're going to need more coverage on that. And it lets us really go for this. The amount we're raising gives us, and again, we've looked at runway from a standpoint of we pretending we have no revenue, which we already have revenue, and as it scales, that will increase along with the scale. It gives us enough runway to get to cash flow positive. Now, I'm not saying that we won't have an opportunity to maybe grow faster or capture more market share and therefore need to raise more money. But like I said, if you take a 20-year view on this, we want it to be something that we can continue to just cultivate, because there's going to be various different waves of charitable giving. There always is. You saw it in 2020 from the pandemic and the need that happened.
Totally.
You saw the opposite in 2008 when everybody's assets went south, and so we have to be able to be there consistently and ride it out. So it gives us a long-term approach.
So what could go wrong? So for example, one, you have revenue, but
Yeah.
one would say, okay, I give you $1 million. You're going to pay me 20% in the next 12 months. Where is that money going to come from?
But it comes from the revenue. So our business model is sort of inverted from the typical DAF. We don't charge for assets under management. We charge on the gifts that are going out. And even some gifts, like for example, matching gifts, there isn't a fee on, because that's essentially our marketing, to
Right.
do it on the platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've designed a lot of those things to work that way. But the things that could go wrong really are we don't get enough money quick enough to scale, and it becomes a long tail of just slow growth. And that's also a slow path to death.
Yeah.
So right now we've built this up to be ready to scale, and we need to really make a splash quickly because I mean, again, there's also a lot of people that right now, if we can start to take more assets from the other DAFs, our long-term goal is not to essentially take their assets. It's to have them be able to put this layer on top of their DAFs. So I don't care if you have Fidelity or Community Foundation or uh, National Christian. You can still use that as a payment method. This becomes, the Amazon, you know.
So one of the things that you just mentioned is uh, the the revenues generated by the gifts,
Yep.
and explain how that's different than putting $50 to the dog rescue.
Well, for us, it's on those gifts. And frankly, it's if you look at the investment in the DAF, like typically you put the money in the DAF, instead of getting all the gains, you pay fees on that money. It's not a big amount, but we want that to go into you having more money to give away because our entire technology is built around getting that money moving because you do see what's going on. You are doing that. That $50 donor that we're talking about, they're becoming part of that community. They're seeing more of what that charity does. And even that $50 donation influences other people because they go, oh, look, St. Jude. Oh, look, Frontline Foundation or whatever happens to be up, when you log in because you were going to do something else.
Right, I
And so,
got that. But what I'm getting at, I'm sorry not to be clear,
hmm.
is the money that you get a percentage of, who's who's the donor to that and how's that money flow?
Well, so the way it works is when a donation is made, we take 5 to 9% depending on the involvement of the charity.
Right.
When that money comes in, that's revenue to us, obviously. And then that is what 20% of that right off the top goes back to the qualified investors, essentially. So that's where that 20% is coming from.
Got it.
And so right now, like I said, we have a small amount of revenue. We are, producing monthly revenue, but it needs to scale because 5% is still only 5%.
Yeah.
So, I see it as we need to get to probably 5 to 10 million a month through the platform just to be, break even, the ability to kind of keep building on it without having to take in more capital. And by the end of where this money will get us, we should be way ahead of that.
And if I understanding it correctly, the charity is going to get money that they wouldn't otherwise get. And so if they got, let's just say 93% of the DAF money that was contributed, they'll take it all day long.
Yes.
And there's there's no friction in terms of the optics of that.
Well, and I wouldn't say there's no friction. I mean, the only way you're going to get new money is by
Got to pay
your
somebody to
donors,
get it, right?
by the donors that already support you,
Yeah,
creating attention that brings in new people.
right.
And so it's also why, like, with our audience today, we are looking for partners who are willing to say, I want to do a matching grant to that charity. And so that charity now goes, if I want to make that matching grant, I've got to tell my donors about it. That creates activity that, I mean, you've seen it kind of
I love
happen in
that.
this on a
Yeah, I
small
love that.
scale.
Yeah.
But the more activity that happens, the more people are drawn to it, and the more engaged your existing donors are. I think that's the biggest thing charities miss in this process is an engaged donor doesn't mean you just keep asking the person that gives you the most for more money.
So if,
It's how do we
yeah.
get both the $5 million donors and even the $50 donors, because that continues to create more awareness. And it's a model that, is kind of unheard of in the charity world.
So forget about the number, but let's say I give $10,000 to the platform. It's my DAF.
Yep.
I select O search, do a
Yep.
3x. O search says, "Oh, there's 10,000 bucks sitting there,
Yep.
and we don't get it unless we go out to our donor base and tell them that there's a 3x match."
Yes.
And the
Yep.
only way that that's going to happen is if it sends it back to send them to DAFshare.
Exactly. Raise money through the platform so you can see the other people giving. And what will happen, I happen to understand OSearch because you and I have talked about it before. A lot of people don't know about it. And it's a really cool charity. So if you saw that activity and you said, "What's this OSearch thing?" You find a lot of people interested that had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
But but it does. We have to have that catalyst, that fuel, and that is getting donors to basically give the same gifts they're making already, but to do it in a new way that creates a community, which creates sustainability, which also eventually then brings in new donors that weren't aware of it or want to be a part of something.
And what else besides the matching gift seems to be a magic elixir?
Yep.
Is there other things that you've discovered that catalyze besides the seeing the activity?
Yes, I think the two biggest things that we're seeing happen right now, one is, and I can jump back so you don't have to look at the slide anymore. One is just making it portable. People going, "Hey, you know what? Come join me. I'll give you $50 to get started. I'll give you, whatever it is." Or again, I've got a company, so I'm gonna here, I'll even show a little behind the scenes there. Um, like here. And I'm only part of this because I helped them set it up. So humor me. But if I look at like, here's a company who basically has taken all their employees, said, "We're going to give everybody $50 and we're going to match up to $500 of your gifts." So now they're all part of this community. They all see each other give. And there's a perfect example too, where I know I keep relying on the feed, but this is my coworkers. I'm seeing who they're giving to. And, isn't that sweet? Sally in the corner gives to the dog rescue. I like dogs too, and I like Sally, so I'm going to support that. So it just
Yeah.
these connected groups. I mean, it's every charity has its own community, but every group, whether it's a business and foundation or even just a giving circle. I have some buddies that we get together and we give to charity every year. Like any of those groups, it just creates a more human connection. And yes, it's a technology platform, so it's not going to eliminate the human connection, but it's going to sustain it because we forget and we get interested in other things and we're all busy.
And in this case, uh, Anthony Parr put up money,
Yep.
$50 matching gift or 500 per person, doesn't matter. Uh, but is it going to Anthony Parr's chosen charity or the one that I select?
Yeah, no, with the group format, and we do have blacklist and whitelist features, meaning if I have a company or if I have a foundation and I say we absolutely are not giving to that charity,
Yeah.
I'm not going to match anybody that gives to that charity, you can eliminate those. So there's a security angle to it that you're
Yeah.
protected. But if you're open about it and just say, "No, anybody gives to anybody, not only will I give, but I'm going to put it in the company first because I want my company associated with all these charities that my employees support because
Yeah.
all the other people that give to those charities are going to hold, I'm going to get a halo effect around my company as well."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's the wild success of the United Way where they would go into the
Right.
CEO and the CEO would basically look at you cross-eyed if you didn't make a contribution or
Yeah.
pass you over for being a
Well,
little cynical, but
and to their credit, that was innovation.
yeah,
But the employee giving programs that are out there right now, I just read a stat, something like 64% of available giving funds across all employee programs never get claimed,
Yeah.
never get used. And it's not necessarily because those people aren't giving, that's part of it, but it's because people just don't bother.
And I can remember having the United Way come in and they played a video that it was only like 2 or 3 minutes long. And all it was slides, and each slide had a series of words on it. And by the time you got to the end of it, you were giving them money. Like it
Yep,
was evocative, right?
yep, yep, yep,
And so you can put that sort of video up here, right?
100%. And not only that, you can, and the you could be you, the donor, it could be you, the employee at the charity, or it could be one of your coworkers.
Yeah.
And, we, back in those days when the United Way was doing it, it wasn't that easy to create videos. Well,
Right.
how
Yeah.
many, how
It
many,
was on cassette.
how many gazillions of hours of videos uploaded to YouTube every minute? I
I
mean,
know, right?
it's
Yeah.
available. So
Wow.
it's an easy way to let the people that care take charge, whether they're inside the charity or out.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to write you a check, what's the unit amount? 250, 150?
Yep. So there's 106 units available. It's 50 grand per unit.
Yeah.
So, and we've already got a few of those sold. Now we're just trying to ramp it up and close it out quickly. And frankly, right now would love to talk to anybody, but at the same time, we really are aiming for having our philanthropy partners be the ones that participate in the success. More than the investment capital, we want people that have foundations that are prolific givers that want to be a part of changing philanthropy, not just the one charity that they're supporting. Those type of partners right now are gold to us. And frankly, from a fairness standpoint and a risk payoff standpoint, if those are our investors, we have truly won because that solves both problem. It gives us fuel and it gives us capacity.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
That's,
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this. Did you decide to do uh fractional units, not so you could go under 100, but so somebody could do 1.5?
no, right now, well, I would say that those decisions we'll make when they come to us, but right
Yeah.
now, I think it's the nature of the debenture, and it's also just an easy way to sort of almost due diligence the investors.
Yeah.
If is somebody going to say, listen, I'll put in 225, but I'm not putting in 250.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Yeah. Right.
And it also makes just the upkeep of that. I mean, you can imagine
Oh
if
yeah,
we
no,
have
no,
a
no. Yeah.
106
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
investors and they're not 50 grand each,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden just paying out that revenue share every quarter is its own, tax season.
Yeah, totally. Like doing K1s.
Yeah, it's just it right now we're going to limit it at that. I mean,
Yeah, totally makes sense.
it's just simpler and it's also qualifying. I
Yeah.
mean, we're not looking for $50,000 investments. We're looking for people that say, okay, I'll take so many units. I'll take 10 units. I'll take 50 units, which is actually our max. Because we don't want it all to be with one investor because we want those philanthropy partners.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would encourage people to take it for a test drive. For example, I'm thinking about proving to OSearch what you're doing, even though they're super interested, throwing a few bucks in and then do my own campaign to demonstrate to them how it works with a matching. I think I told
Well,
you we're sitting on top of the Soho House roof at the pool having a cocktail, and we start talking to a couple of people up there, and they go, talk to Chris about what he does. Well, I run a nonprofit. Oh, which one? Oh, search. We have the shark tracker, and everybody knew what the shark tracker was, right?
yep, yep.
they don't necessarily know what OSearch is and does, but they
But they
knew the
like
shark
tracking
tracker.
sharks.
And the
Yep.
shark tracker was known because people were going to the beach, and that was one way to decide whether there was any sharks in the water, which is nonsense. But it optically it looked like that, right?
Well, and if you'll let me, you just said people should go play around and try it out. Um, this is another aspect of sharing my DAF. I can actually set up different promo codes. So if anybody that's on this call does go and sign up, and for example, uses the code MAV, as in Maverick 170, they will have $170 to play with out of
Look
my
at that.
DAF. So,
Lucky you guys who showed up.
so, so yeah.
That's awesome. You better limit that. Oh, you do
But
it 1,700, 10
it
times.
is
Okay.
limited.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
basically, everybody that signs up gets 170. So, and quite a few of them have already been taken advantage of. So
yeah,
there's only a few left.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the whole. I mean, matching
Oh, I
grants work
see
the
them
same
there.
way.
Those are the people that have grabbed it. Okay, I got it.
I
Yeah,
set my budget, and when the budget's gone, it's no longer available.
yeah,
But that again, that is sharing your DAF, but it's also kind of a fun gamification. Like, hey,
totally.
you know, the first 10 people that get in,
I
they
love
got
it.
$170 to play with. Now,
Yeah.
it's chump change because we're a gritty
No, no,
startup.
no. Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about the experience, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap it up, but this has been super good. Thank you for doing this again. And then we'll make sure
Appreciate it.
everybody gets in touch with you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
and thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, that was great, Alex. Thank you,
Yeah,
everybody, for joining us today and spending with us the only thing you can't make more of, and that's your time. Till next time. Thanks, Alex.
thank you.
Take care.